Congratulations, by the way, man. Justitia is the proper way, right, to pronounce the EP.
Thank you. Justicia, yeah.
Justitia, man, it's fucking kick-ass. And it's such a nice
Thank you.
progression from Necrosapiens. It's like you can tell you guys are just getting better and better.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It also feels like a very quite natural yeah, evolving, I guess
Evolving.
so, and like progression of the sound from Necrosapiens, and I guess it's also kind of like a playground, some loose ideas that we didn't pick up at the Necrosapiens. There weren't like any space for it at Necrosapiens, and then we took it and made it a playground. Some few ideas and spun it, and then an EP came out as well.
What prompted you guys to write material so quickly? Because it's slightly over a year, right, from the album to the EP.
Well, we are always working, always working on ideas. But actually, as I said before, a lot of the ideas were already, a lot of the songs were already ideas when we went into the studio with Necrosapiens, and some of them didn't make it on Necrosapiens. I don't know. At that time, it was just ideas, and it didn't fit in at the Necrosapiens. But they also felt kind of like an involvement from the things we did at Necrosapiens. And some slight more progressive things that we've tried to experiment with, and so it's like a natural footstep. Like further from the Necrosapiens idea, and also like an involvement of our sounds. There's a big difference from album 1 and album 2, album 3, and then this EP. So it's kind of like a natural playground for us to experiment with that sound that came from Necrosapiens. Yeah,
I agree with that, because when I was listening to Necrosapiens, I heard of a lot of like Entombed and Bolt Thrower, and then listening to Justitia, I'm hearing, for me personally, I hear like Opeth and Death, and there's a lot of progression and playfulness almost in the music.
Yeah, and we've definitely also listened a lot to Carcass, so we've also tried to work a lot with the more melodic soundscapes as well, and that is a progression that we like to follow as well, but still maintain like the brutalness, and also we want to touch out touch the HM2 out in the bin, but we will definitely, as we did on Necrosapiens and Justitia, try to make more room for some rock and roll and some progressive rock music and melody. It fits, I think so, and we are quite comfortable in it.
And I think it gives a different flavor to the death metal that you guys play from a lot of other bands, the way they do it.
Yeah.
I really liked, I think the first song I got exposed to with, again, forgive me if I mispronounce it, Excelsior. Ecclesia. The first song I got exposed to, man, I love that song. I thought about Blackwater Park the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
You're quite right about that. I also think that the whole album Blackwater Park was quite was like the main fountain inspiration to that song, but also a few other. I think we also like the guys, especially the guitar guys and the drummer likes a lot of like old progressive rock music from the 70s, and I also think we played a lot with a band called the Kansas, which is also great, and some Morbid Angel stuff as well, like the old school stuff as well.
Yeah, you can tell that there's like a marriage of old and new school within your music, especially something like Gargoyles, which I think it treads that line of both. I think both Ecclesia and Gargoyles are my two favorite tracks on the EP.
Thank you, man.
And I'm not gonna pretend like I know much about Black Dahlia Murder, but I do think it's kind of sad to see one of our legends pass away. And I wanted to kind of ask you, how was it to work with Trevor and kind of the experience of these chatting with him and getting this thing together?
Like we mostly we got in contact with him through our through our management and no through our record label at Century Media.
Mhm.
We had a great contact, but I was also following him on Instagram, so I was like, why don't I just try to send a message? And he replied almost instantly and said when and where kind of get. So he's like, he seems like a very disciplined and very, very modest, extremely respectful guy. He was a kind guy, but also very, very, very talented and workful. And I sent some tracks when we did the song in the studio, and I laid down some like cue tracks for him, and he was like, I was like really trying to do my work there because I knew it was him.
Yeah.
And he's quite an icon for me. And then when he sent his tracks, his mix back, it was just like 200% like over my expectations. He was just that good and that cool a guy, man.
It's such a shame.
So yeah, it's such a shame because he seemed like a very, very nice guy. Very modest, very respectful, and I messaged him back and forth and said, "Wow," and plead my respect to him and how much I liked that he was on the track, and he was like, "Wow." He was very modest and like he said, like, you know, man, your vocals are huge, and I was actually, he was very like in what's it called, he was quite scared, you know, of being at the record because it was me. I did such a great work, he said.
Oh,
So
nice.
he was kind of intimidated, and that's just like I didn't just get this compliment from this icon of mine, man. I've followed since and heard since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to remember him for: being respectful and being like a man of the underground and the metal scene, all in all. He really, really was a great character on the scene, and I want to remember that and not the tragic side. You know. But of course, I'm on his death, absolutely, and I feel so weird because like I was when he passed away. When I heard he passed away, it was only like a couple of weeks ago. I spoke to him, and he celebrated his birthday like 2 weeks before, and I was like, you know, that's just a weird feeling.
You never know, right? What's gonna happen to each one of us.
Yeah, and like, you just don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's just a weird feeling.
Can I put on a request from you guys for another Bolt Thrower cover?
You're welcome.
Man, I was such a big fan of my Bolt Thrower is my favorite death metal band of all time. When you did No
that's
Guts, No
fucking
Glory,
cool.
oh, it's so good. Your vocals for me in general was the thing that kind of stood out. You have very full, very kind of strong, bombastic vocals, and you really did the song justice. So I'm like, please, another one.
Oh, awesome, man. Awesome. I can't I gotta say we've done a lot of cover tracks for now. So, but maybe in some future. But
in the future, right?
Yeah. But I can't promise anything.
Of course. Just so you know, there's one fan who puts in the request right off the bat because you guys killed it, and you put enough flavor into it to make a difference. Yeah. It's not a direct copy of what Bolt Thrower did.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? I was also looking from you guys from your first EP to like Mary Magdalene to Justitia. Now it's only been 6 years. You guys released 3 albums, 3 EPs. Yeah. There's a constant stream of like singles and music videos. What I want to ask you, do you feel like it's the way people consume music now that you need to release something on a consistent basis, or it's just the way you guys work in general when it comes to producing music?
I think 2 things. First of all, like we love doing music, and we work as long as we like what we do. And we won't stop not making music. and we stay productive until something is in the way.
Yeah.
Second of all, I think I almost forgot. Well, I think a band at like our size right now needs to be productive, and to be
Yeah, yeah.
recognized we have to be productive and push push out some great records that can like keep people busy listening to our music, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and to create a great catalog. And when people then notice you, you might put out work on the big masterpiece, I guess. So people really keep you in mind, I guess.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I
You you
know
you, you want to be at
I
the
don't
top
know
of the
the,
mind for the fans.
yeah, exactly. So it's like a mixture of that, like trying to keep up, also trying to keep the listeners and the fans busy, you know, and just, you know, like put ourselves out there, you know.
Of course.
You have to do that. There are thousands of bands, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and to keep up with the fans, you have to put out music, and also you have to push out great music. And there's a lot of pressure on a lot
Yes.
of bands, you know.
But I think it's responsible for what I believe is a very quick kind of climb for you guys in recognition among metal fans. Because I don't know if you guys see from your side, but just through my channel, there's a lot of fans who come out praising the band, how good you guys are, and kind of the breath of
Yeah,
fresh air. So I feel like your strategy of really putting in the work, it's working because people are noticing it and they want just more.
yeah, I guess so. I guess so, and we also want to give more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess at this time of it, and you know, during these 2 years of pandemic, like bands had to stay busy,
Yeah.
and there must have been a lot of bands like trying to write music in these times because they couldn't play on anything like
Yeah, they
that.
couldn't tour.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you know what it is? I said this to I would talk to Johan from Evergrey last week, and I told him
yeah,
for fans it's great because we get more music.
yeah,
We get back to back albums, but obviously for the musicians it's hard because the streaming and the album sales is not it's not what the touring is. It's where first of all you probably get the most enjoyment, and at the same
yeah.
time it's where you make your living as well.
Absolutely. You know, it's where the fans are,
Yeah.
and you know, it's our chance to sell merchandise, and yeah, and earn money, because there is no other way to earn money in the music business. You
And
know.
you know, I can't tell you how many bands I've discovered by just going to concerts and like, what a fun Warbringer. Like I never went to a concert like, oh my God, this is great. Next thing you know,
No.
I became a fan.
Yeah, exactly.
And how are you guys able to, you know, you obviously like to produce music and, you know, you keep writing, but how do you find inspiration and stay hungry through it all, like on a consistent basis, always trying to top yourself?
Uh, That's a good question. I also think that comes from playing live, because you know, we experience playing these tracks live as well and get a whole new dimension from it, you know. And
Yeah.
also from out of that, it there's a big there's a will to create more from that sound. Also, we like to listen to a lot of music. Yeah, during the times, you know. So I guess it also we just keep feeding our fucking head, you know, with all the
The
time.
fire is inside right now, so you're using it.
Yeah, exactly. And also by, I think, by rehearsing, all like not all the time, but every week, it creates, like, you know, a fora to share your ideas, and you know, and when you share your ideas, you recognize, like, you get back to where you first started, you know, when you met in the rehearsal for the first time, and maybe the guitarist had some riffs and you jammed, and that experience is still um is still attending for us for some
Yeah, yeah.
reason, when the guitarist, when Lasse or Sven comes with a new with a new riff, and it just sounds so fucking killer. Like at the end of the tour, we just came home from tour a couple of weeks ago, and we played in Hanover the last day, and then Lasse just started shredding like a black metal kind of riff, and we were all like fucking stoked. And like at some point, we could just feel all ideas pop up. Where could this be in a song and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah.
So it just, you know, it appears from both from playing live and being together, but also being in the rehearsal space constantly.
I think it also has to do with the fact that it's been the same. I'm guessing you guys are friends, and it's been the same lineup from the beginning. There hasn't been any changes. So you guys feel one another probably on a more intuitive level.
Absolutely, and not only at an intuitive level, but also like in an artistical and musical level as well.
Yeah.
And you know, 6 years for a band is not a long time, but it's a long time to experience each other in a creative process, and that keeps your head spinning, you know. But and it feels like ages for me, you know, having like only thinking it's been 6 years, but it feels like ages for me.
I just don't think it's fair. For example, a pop artist can come out and release 2 albums and they'll be at the top of the charts. For heavy metal, it's so much harder, and it takes so much more time to get recognition, to be seen by fans, because there's so much music as well. It's a shame that it's so much harder for talented guys like yourself to even get eyes on you to see the band.
Yeah, that's the deal, man. Heavy metal is not the world's most popular music genre as it was in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
And I guess you have to evolve after that, but you also have to play your cards, you know.
Yeah.
And you also like you have to follow a nerve or stream or so to be recognized, and that demands a lot of work. Through a lot of other things than only the music, and that's just the part you have to take with you, and we feel kind of like a bit blessed and like lucky to be where we are now, to be recognized all around the world. We are from Denmark, a fucking small country, you know, and we've always
Denmark has been putting out some good fucking metal in the past, I'll say, 10 years.
Really good. Yeah, really much good. A lot of good and a lot of like signings the last couple of years. I guess Copenhagen is like a big festival, but it was created from. We are playing Copenhagen in a couple of weeks. The biggest metal festival in Denmark. Started 2010, and the CEO Jeppe Nissen has done a lot for the Danish metal scene. And has created quite a platform for new metal bands to gain some international
recognition.
Yeah. So I also think he has a card in this play as well to do that, because before that, I think we have to go back to like the start, maybe the start zeros. Start 2000 or maybe even the 90s with Hate Sphere and Ill Disposed, Mercenary maybe to like, and Raunchy as well, to really be like some Danish bands that you recognized also.
Artillery,
Artillery as well. That might more be like back in the 80s. So
in the 80s,
but yeah, still respect as well. So I think Danish metal is experiencing a golden age right now.
Yeah. There's Denmark. Like for some reason, Indonesia is killing it right now. For some reason, Indonesia is killing. There's been a couple of countries that just, and I'm really happy for you guys. But we talked about a couple of challenges that the band has faced. What's been some of the toughest challenges that kind of got in your way? And maybe cut off your, at the ankle, except obviously the pandemic. Have you had any challenges like that, or you feel like it's been a relatively smooth process?
I think it's been hard work all through, but it's been all worth it, you know. I can't tell. Well, I guess there has been some like. When we started 2018, we we started talking with the guys from Century Media, and we started playing the first international gigs as well at that time. And some of the first gig, especially in Czech Republic, that was like very harsh, and we like, but you know, you learn as you travel, and you learn as you do this process over and over again, and what's the best things to do. And we just went in a van to Eastern Europe and toured around, you know.
Yeah.
And we've taken our toll on small club shows for now, I guess so. Nobody has anything on us, you know. We
put in the work.
Yeah, exactly. And it also creates a lot of respect for those bands that's also like really, really, really fighting and struggling, and just still, after maybe 10 years playing like small clubs around in Europe. I really, really have a lot of respect for that. But I think for us, it's time now maybe to play some bigger shows.
and hopefully some in New York and United States as well.
Absolutely. We just signed with Atomic Music Group, which is an American booking agency as well. Awesome. So rather sooner than later, actually, we'll definitely join the stage.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's about the timing, and it's about finding someone who. It's about finding a great tour, you know.
Yeah. It has to make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe I'm overthinking here, but the name of the band, I know it means like Beast of Brute in Danish, but is there a reason why you guys chose that name, or is it just because you guys are fucking brutal?
We started in 2015, and it was actually Sven and Lasse that came up with the name. At that time, there was a lot of bands or band monikers, which was which was in the native language and the mother language. We also have a lot of bands here. For example, Berserk is a Danish band which has experienced a lot of success. They started like about the same time as we did. And think about it. There's also, for example, in Norway, Kvillatak as well, which means chokehold in Norwegian as well. Yeah. They have gained a lot of success since they put out, you know, the first album there in 2011. So I guess there was a lot of bands at that time that was like at the same mother tongue, and of course we thought about like. What if we gain some international success? But luckily there was actually a band before called BAEST, which was spelled in the right way. Like if you spell BAEST, we have another letter for the AE sound.
Got it. Yeah,
and that was our first name. But then these guys from Copenhagen wrote us and said, "Well, you have to change your name because obviously we got the name first." And we were like, "Of course." Whatever, man. Whatever, man. You know, don't come and tell us, and we should change our name now.
Yeah.
So we obviously did it, and a lot of ideas, but we would just like, okay, let's just change the letters, and maybe we'll get some international recognition if
it rolls off the tongue very easily.
Well, yeah, I still haven't met. Still 90% of the fans I meet can't seem to pronounce the name right, but
BAEST, right?
But BAEST, yeah.
BAEST. Well, I would hope my Russian would help me pronounce it just a little better.
No, yeah, exactly. It's but interesting enough, it's also a word in like Irish and like the Gaelic languages. So a lot of like Scottish and Irish people seem to really could pronounce it the right way. So that was kind of like fun. But you know, it's still fun, and it's a good way of putting up a conversation with people. And
100%.
People are nice, you know.
And I was gonna say, in part of progress, like I'm a personal trainer, so I've went through this myself. We all go through this in our work life, our music life, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
part of progression and growth is sometimes doing or forcing yourself to do things you don't exactly like. And I would like to ask, as a musician, what are some of those things that just like, man, I don't want to do this, but it's necessary for the growth of the band?
Mm.
I mean, if there is anything like that, you might be just like, I love it all.
I think we find we are quite busy band, but we also kind of like we have taken everything. It's become an institution. It's not. I don't know. It's not always fun to do.
I stumped you a little bit.
No, it's not always. Not. I can't remember right now what is not. I think the waiting is always.
Oh, it sucks, right? Between the gigs.
Yeah, between the gigs, that's not always fun, but that's also when ideas come up. And the tour we did through Europe and the UK, we only had like a sound guy with us and a driver and the bus that we slept in as well. Besides that, we did everything ourselves, putting up the merchandise and all that stuff. I think like most of the managing things and the administrative things aren't so funny, but we have a manager, who manages all those things. And usually it's not fun when too many things comes on the table and we have to get like an overview of that
perspective.
A greater perspective on that. But besides, today we spent most of the day like packing stuff. Our vinyls came a bit late, so we had to send it out today, and hopefully people will get it like during the week or so. But I had fun all day long packing all this stuff, doing the same thing, and that's also a part of the job, and that's also the part of like doing business as well. And we quite enjoy that, but of course it takes a lot of time from what we are busy at doing now. I guess I hate being busy.
But you know what? It's busy, your enthusiasm, it comes through in your vocals and it comes through in this conversation here, which for me, it just makes me like you guys even more because you can tell you love what you're doing and you're happy to do it. Versus sometimes you'll talk to somebody where they're kind of over it a little bit and they might be at a downturn of their moment, and you just have to understand you have your ups and downs.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you're always, as a group of people playing, especially by playing in a band, you experience ups and downs all the time. But you also, if you put in the right hard work into it and also work, you don't only have to do like work with the business part of it and the music part of it. You also have to work on your relationship as
100%,
well. And that is also a perspective in our band. We always work on our relationships between each other, because at some point when you're in the middle of a tour, you just get tired, and you have to do a lot of work, but you're fucking tired, and you maybe got 4 hours of sleep the last 3 days, and it's hard to keep up with a good mood, but you have to learn, you have to take these fights and these, like, look at these sides from each other and have to learn them, experience them, instead of like putting them away, and also if you look at it, you also get a much more respectful look on each other, so I'm very glad it's these guys I'm working with,
You guys, again, you guys, it seems like you guys jive with one another.
Yeah, absolutely. But we also know when we don't have to see each other. That's also the cool thing about it. We know after a month of touring, The last thing I wanted to do was like going into the rehearsal space and like being together, and like we had to go home, we had to go home to our girlfriends, our wives, and our loved ones, and spend time with them. That's also a part of it, and there's also a great understanding and respect for that.
I agree. I was going to ask you, up to this point for you guys, or I'll even ask for you personally, two things will be, what has been the most kind of the proudest moment for you as a musician, and then on it, to tack onto it, a bucket list thing you would like to kind of check mark get to.
In a couple of weeks, as I said, we are playing the main stage at Copenhagen. 2 years ago, we did the second biggest stage at the same festival in front of nearby 20,000 people.
Yeah.
That was a proud moment. That was a milestone in our career. And that was a huge boost for the band. And that set a whole engine of dreams, trying those dreams to come true. And I think also doing this tour by ourselves, that's a proud moment. We did this tour we just did in Europe was booked back in 2019. It was our first headlining tour. Some of the places were even small places and kind of like underground. And we've done it, and we did it all by ourselves,
Yeah.
And a lot of people showed up and enjoyed the shows, and we enjoyed the shows, and saw how people enjoyed themselves as well, and traveled all these kinds of places. That is quite, and we did it all by ourselves. We emptied the van every fucking night and put all this shit up, put the merchandise up, stood there, sold the merchandise, spoke to the fans, drank beers with the fans, had a great time, did the hard work, but we did it anyhow, and we did it all the way through. I'm very, very proud.
And that's what fans will remember. I think we remember these moments of getting to a high five or chat with you and have a beer with you, and our love for you guys only just grows from that point on.
Absolutely.
By the way, I didn't ask you from before. I was going to ask you, the EP, is it part of a larger album, or is it just those extra songs that didn't work on the previous that you decided to release?
Well, I might say it's not like it didn't work, but it was just unfinished business at that time, Okay. And it was also like a strain of ideas that came from Necrosapiens that we had to put out. Also, at that time when we put out Necrosapiens, was in March 2021. The pandemic wasn't that much away at that time. And we also saw like leaving out a momentum at that time with the Necrosapiens. We wanted to play a lot of festivals at that time. We wanted to play a lot of shows and, get out. But we also lost a bit of momentum at that time, we felt. Mm-hmm. So actually our great label and the manager had the idea to do an EP, which could push the same vibe that was on the Necrosapiens, but also create a playground, as I spoke about before. For some new things, for the new sound of BAEST, So it's not going to become like a part of a new album, but it's definitely a playground for us to experiment but also for fans to experience a new side of BAEST and what we are willing to do willing to work with in the future,
Your experimentation of what BAEST really is going to be kind of as a band. I understand you. And I was going to also step away actually from the music side. Is just today, as I was kind of searching through things to talk about, I realized that you also do some voice acting. As then I saw your kind of Instagram post with Kenobi, which was pretty funny.
Yeah. I was. I haven't been haven't been booked yet, but yes, we have. I've signed. I don't know, signed, but done a contract with the Monster Factory, and those guys from there. They're really really nice. I think it's Canadian based as well, and that is also quite interesting. I always been into not always been into voice acting, but just experiment with my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And when they contacted me, I was like, yeah, I could see myself trying to do that. And did a book, what you call it, a booklet, I guess so. And created a profile.
And started kind of posting some stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. But their idea with the Monster Factory was to create like a whole community of metal singers that was like based in different parts of the world that could do any kinds of computer and voice animation as well.
Well, there's been a couple I think it was Mike Patton who did the voice work, some video games, and his vocals in general were really cool to kind of experiment and try these things. And I imagine with your level of control, you can do these as well, which kind of leads into a question I didn't think I was going to ask today, but it's a nice question to ask. Are you more self-taught, or were you kind of more traditionally schooled in terms of the vocals?
I am pretty much self-taught, but I've always done things with my voice. I've done a lot of singing back in the days, like normal singing as well,
singing,
and through school. And I'm an educated teacher as well. I'm educated in music and teaching music for elementary school and middle school.
That makes sense.
Children. So I in that way I have experience, but I'm not like academy and like I'm not like music academy taught or anything like that. So mostly self-taught, but also through and through like education and stuff like that.
Well, again, you have
for a long time.
You have different tones in your voice, which I think is really awesome. It's not one noted, Some death metal singers, they could be awesome, but they tend to be one noted. And you have your high pitch, you have your low pitch. You're really playful with the vocals, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I guess I can do a lot of things I also wanted to experimented a lot with the voice as well. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a part on Ecclesia where I actually see clean singing. Yeah. At some of the parts, it's more of an effect rather than actual sing. But we tried, at least we had some experimentation at that time, and I wanted to do a lot of ideas also. That's where also the Blackwater Park Opeth things comes in, because he's a huge singer, man. He has a beautiful voice.
Beautiful voice.
Yeah, and
I couldn't help but look. I forgot the name of the guitarist. I'm sorry, but I kept looking and I'm like, he looks like Marty Friedman.
Yeah. He knows.
I'm sure he's gotten it before. Every time he looks like
Marty. Fucking clone of Marty Friedman.
Yeah,
but Marty Friedman right now it's much more like a Japanese version of himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know what? Yeah. I was gonna leave the last question more for you, and if there's anything you would like to say to fans that might be watching this interview, or what I think are going to be future fans, because I definitely think they should be checking out their EP and the songs, and I hope that this interview here, at the very least, introduces to a couple more people to check out BAEST.
Yeah, man.
I want to leave the last word to you.
If the last word for me. Hey guys, Simon here from BAEST. You should check out our new EP. It's called Justitia. It's out through Century Media. It's a lot of kick-ass death metal, but it's also with a kind of rock and roll, progressive kind of vibe. Check it out, and see you in your town rather sooner than later. We are playing Mystic River in Poland the next week. We are playing Sweden Rock in a couple of weeks, and we are playing Copenhagen in a couple of weeks. And we also play Brutal Assault in Czech Republic, Rockstad in Romania, and we are also playing at the Bloodstock. But we'll definitely see you out there in Europe, North America, around the world at some point. Come check us out in your town.
Busy guys.
Yeah.
Simon, thank you so much for doing this. And you're very easy to talk to. I gotta say, I feel like I'm talking more to a friend than I'm trying like there's some metal artist. I'm like, come on, dude, like give me some information. It's like you're pulling it out of
metal dudes seem to be like very withdrawn or something like that. They've also done a lot of interviews, but I enjoy.
They're probably tired. Yeah.
I enjoy, man. Thanks.
Thank you very much. You have a good one. Okay.
Yeah, you too, man. Take care.